Hello, how you doing? This is Lawton Chiles. I hope you are doing super good. Today we're talking about how to think of million-dollar ideas relatively quickly. Okay? And so on my screen here, you should be able to see and hear me okay. If you can, let me know in the comments. If you can see my keynote presentation, just let me know right there. Appreciate it. Um, I'm just going to wait a minute for Facebook to tell people that we are actually live, but we are indeed live. And it looks like this is working. Okay, so how do we come up with million-dollar ideas very quickly? So one of the things that we're doing in my Response Dynamite program, where we sell high-ticket items via social media and email, where we're not doing webinars and we're not doing high ticket phone calls unless you want to, is we have to think of a new way to present our idea. And if you're just joining me, hello, this is Lawton Chiles. We're just kind of waiting a second while more people get into the room. But if you could see my screen here, then let me know. So we're looking at my keynote. And so how do we do this? How do we present our ideas in a way that stands out in the marketplace? Because the one thing that I wanted to kind of, that I do want to make you aware of here is that everyone is saying the same thing, right? Everyone is saying the same ideas, the same marketing messages. Everybody is trying to get attention using the same words, the same offers. And so what happens is you really need to have a way for your audience to immediately see your idea is different. And so how do we do this? Well, I tell people, listen, pretend that our good buddy Bill Gates wants to give you $25 million to sell your idea, right? That he wants to give you $25 million to sell your idea to the world. And so why is that a big deal? Well, because there's a few things that happen, right? He's not going to just want to hear the same old song and dance of like, well, our program targets people who, want to stop binge eating. And it's about women who really want to achieve freedom and abundance in their lives. And you should give me $25 million, right? No, he's going to want to know pretty quickly why your program deserves $25 million of his hard-earned money to go sell to his audience, right? So, and what we're doing here is we're shortcutting the million-dollar issues because we want to help you quickly think of million-dollar ideas that Bill Gates himself would want to give you money to say, hey, so if you said, hey, Lawton, I want to give you a chance to sell Response Dynamite, your course, to way more people, I'm going to pay for the media budget on all this stuff. So he would be like, why is your marketing material different than everyone else's? And I would have to come up with something that would really knock his socks off, right? It couldn't just be like, well, we help people who are struggling with blah blah blah. And so what we do here to get clear on the million-dollar idea and why it's even $1 million is we pretend that we're going into a room with Bill Gates, and we pretend that he has a limited amount of time and he needs to hear something that will really blow his socks off, right? And so how do we do this? Well, what we do is we pretend that Bill Gates wants to give us $25 million and he wants to sell our product or service to the world. And immediately we basically have to say, what would make my stuff different for Bill Gates? Why would he want to give me any money at all? And so we kind of really have to get clear on what is the big problem that our product or service solves for the marketplace. Because as you see on this next slide, once you start to get clear on the huge problem that your audience doesn't know about, or that your audience needs to hear in a new way, that's where the money comes in. That's where all of the money comes in for investing, right? So what we do is we basically imagine that we've said something in a way, we've dialed in our big problem, right? We've dialed in our big problem in our market. We've gotten Bill Gates to tell me more, right? So imagine if we said, hey, Bill, we're going to help people in marketing land get off, he's like, I've heard you have a high ticket sales program. Tell me more about that. And so basically we're either going to try to do things, tell him something he had never heard, or put a new twist on old information. So for mine, basically it would be like, hey, Bill, everyone in our market is doing, 2-hour webinars to sell high ticket products, or getting on the phone all day to sell programs. That's the problem, is they have no time, right? So we would basically outline the time problem for him. And then we would need to come up with a big twist on either taking that problem away or shortcutting the time it takes them. So with this example that I had right here, it was sort of like, hey, you only need, so if we were to shortcut it, it would be like, hey, you still need to eat vegetables, but vegetables are basically, you don't have to eat all of them. You can eat just 3, right? And you could throw out the rest. That's a game changer, because the world says, oh yeah, you need to eat tons of these different vegetables, and you're going to die if you don't eat like 17 kinds of greens. What if we came to Bill and said, hey, we found that you only need to eat 3, that those 3 contained all the nutrients that your body needs, right? So then what would happen is we basically would be outlining shortcutting the time, right? Or if we could take the problem away and say, hey, Bill, you don't have to eat vegetables at all, because we found this new drink that has just as many health properties, right? So again, if we were to kind of get rid of this stuff and go over here, we would either, number one, want to take the problem away, like you no longer have to eat any vegetables, or we've limited the amount of vegetables that you have to eat, right? So you see how this is pretty powerful at really getting clear on what the big problem is. And if you would like me to do this for you, to help you side by side get clear on your $1 million idea, because it probably is in there. Most of the time people come to us with program names and kind of fancy, the 3 secrets that most life coaches will never know on how to build a high ticket coaching program. Your market's heard all those 3 secrets and the one missing ingredient type of thing. What they haven't heard is a big idea that someone like Bill Gates would want to invest in, right? And this is very, very important, because once we find your big idea, once we find your what we call a unique mechanism, that really is the $1 million idea. Because once we find that, hey, only 3 veggies are needed for massive weight loss, so once we found this truth, then that sort of sells all of our services, that sells all of our products. We don't have to go in and do like the 3 secrets or the number 1 unlimited, method. We just educate them on why the other vegetables aren't great, and why ours are more, the ones that we found are more potent, right? So we've made things simpler, we've made things easier, or even better, if we could take the never eat another veggie again, right? So right, so this part would be the this part would be the taking away something that people don't like to do. And so we really wrap all the programs and all the services around it. Now, there could be a couple things, like And the main thing is like, well, what if I don't have a program, or what if there's nothing in my program that Bill Gates would want to invest in? Well, you'd be very surprised, because what we usually do is we look at how your program and your service is positioned in the marketplace, and then we usually do the opposite, or we go in and find like the hidden gold that you didn't know existed in your in your marketing materials, or in your products, or in your services, right? Because it's definitely there. I mean, look at all the large companies that have come out in the last 15 years that have solved a major problem, or that have shortcutted a major problem. Like look at, and I'm giving you large examples, right? But look at Elon Musk's tunneling program, the boring company, where he said, hey, you've still got to drive your car, right? We're not doing self-driving cars yet, but we're going to shortcut the amount of time it takes for you to be in that car, right? That's that timing. Remember we had this one that was let me just go back to this one. Remember we had this one that was shortcutting the time that it takes. Or if we can eliminate cars altogether, right, then that would be the next thing, right? That would be the next step, which is to make it simpler. So this is the kind of thing that we do inside of Response Dynamite to really get you clear on your big idea, selling your program for you. Because once you get clear on this big idea and this unique mechanism, so really think about like a weight loss thing. Once they had like the keto diet or the Atkins diet, that keto diet thinking like, oh, high fat, right? All the audience had to believe was that it was the high fat diet that really made all the difference for them, right? And they could kind of not really worry about all the other things that might have been in the keto diet, but at that moment when they bought, they didn't need to know in order to understand. What we want to do is we want to simplify the idea of understanding large concepts. And then once they can understand, oh, I only eat 3 veggies, or I can throw all my veggies away. Once they understand those things, then the program or service that you offer becomes sort of it's not as important as selling them on that big idea. But most people try to sell their program first, or their offer first, or their service first, and they don't come up with that big idea. They don't come up with that unique mechanism that drives belief in that you can actually help them by helping them, right? So if you would like me to do this with you, it's all a part of my Response Dynamite program that we're opening. It is by application only. If you would like to apply, it's really easy. All you need to do is click the comment below, or see the link on the screen. It's lawtonchiles.com/talk. Again, that's lawtonchiles.com/talk. If you have any trouble filling out the application, let me know and send me a private message and I'll respond. Again, once you see the power of these $1 million ideas, you'll really find that your marketing becomes way more about picking the right people and less about trying to, convince all of these people to buy something that they don't believe in. Once you can get the people to believe, selling becomes much easier. Selling is almost, superfluous. It's like, do you want this or not? Like, you understand how powerful it is, right? And they're like, yeah. And then you're like, well, would you like to work with us or not, right? Like, and you do it in a nice way. But this is the hour of work that most people don't do, and then therefore they're not making the most money. They're making like peanuts when they could be making 5, 10, 15 times as much, simply by rearranging the ideas, right? And simply by thinking of it in a way of like, hey, we want to make this simpler. We want to make this easier. We want to make it so this guy, Bill Gates, actually wants to invest in your product or service, really by simplifying and making things easier. So that's how to quickly come up with $1 million ideas. Let me know if this resonated with you. Again, if you want to have me do this with you, I would be delighted. All you need to do is go to that link in the comments. I'm going to post this again. If you're watching the replay, if you would post that in there, but you should see it on your screen. It's lawtonchiles.com/talk. You will see a way to fill out the application. You'll be taken to my website, and you can see it and fill it out. It's really just a few questions to make sure we're the right fit. So again, this is one of the exercises that usually the $1 million clients or different people that come into my world sort of already have down, but a lot of times they're making a lot of money and even they don't have this part really dialed in, right? And so, but once they do, it's like boom, boom, boom. It's much easier to sell. So I'm with Lawton Chiles. Thank you so much for watching. If you would, if this has helped you, I would love to increase the reach so more people get access to this. So if you hit the like or love button or share button on this, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want to work with me, fill out the application and let's talk about the Response Dynamite program. All right. There's no reason for you to be on the phones selling all day, and there's no reason for you to be doing live webinars or automated webinars unless you really, really just want to spend that much time to sell the same stuff. So anyway, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.